All right, on to the plants here. Well, all right.
Yeah,
We start with Acanthus. Okay, is that what's on there?
yeah.
Okay, nice picture, by the way. Acanthus sets its buds in the fall under the ground. They will almost always grow. They grow from root cuttings. They'll almost always grow every year. But if you have a very, very hard frost, the flower bud will die. And it is a beautiful flower when it opens up. The picture you have, it's not quite open. And it's blue. Now, I say it's blue because that is the hardest color to find in the garden. Here there are two pictures. The one on the right is what is called Hungaricus, which presumably is native to Hungary. The other one is Mollis.
They're saying spinosus.
Spinosus is on the left. Hungaricus is, or I'm sorry.
Was on the previous picture.
The picture on the left here is Spinosus on the previous picture. You go to the next two pictures, you got Hungaricus on the right and Mollis on the left. Okay, that's basically it. So cover the plant with some mulch so that the bud doesn't die over winter. It'll always come up from root cuttings. So, but you may lose the bud and it's be a shame because it's a beautiful flower. Okay, we can go on to the next one if you will. I don't know what's next.
I just want to interject and say, why don't you think of them as a purpley color as opposed to, and I suppose it's all in the eyesight of the person. Sometimes they're kind of a nice lavender and sometimes they're kind of a pinky color. But anyway.
And they keep a color in that bract later, because here we are all the way into August when the azaleas and there's still flowers there.
So there's this term my father used to use called nurseryman's blue. A nurseryman's blue is anything from lavender to purple.
Including blue.
Including blue, somewhere in the middle. All right, next we go on to Yarrow Achillea. Moonshine is the picture here shows it almost white. It's actually a lemon yellow.
Well, it's right there.
Yeah,
I think we've got the faded one on the right. That it's.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's a plant introduced by Alan Bloom, a very famous English writer and nurseryman. It's beautiful, very, very frilly foliage. Is worth it if it never flowered, but the flowers are absolutely superb. Also, terrific for if you like dried flowers. It dries well in a vase. The umbel flowers will stay on for a very long time after the color fades.
And it keeps a little bit of the scent of one of its parents. To me, I catch a little bit of that scent.
It has that sort of chrysanthemum aroma. I don't know what else to call it, but it's a beautiful plant.
And it blooms for a long time.
Strong stems.
The strong stems, and it's got that grayish foliage, which is also nice for contrast in an otherwise green garden. Okay, we can go on.
Okay, I'm going to zap past the other yarrows to make sure people don't confuse the white and the pink yarrows. There we go.
The pink yarrow is native to the United States, but it's also native. It's a circumpolar variety. It's native all the way through Europe and Asia. The yellow forms are all Eurasian. There may be some hybrids between them. I'm not sure. We're on Achillea. No, I'm sorry. We're on Alchemilla mollis. Again, a plant with that very lovely grayish green foliage. I love it after a rain or even with dew on it. You see all the dew drops. It's very pretty. The leaves look like a hardy geranium leaf. It's not notable for its flowers, but it makes a very, very good front of border plant. If you have a lawn that goes up to the border, from a distance, it's unclear to the eye where the lawn stops and where the border begins. A plant that is grayish like this or silverish makes that distinction very clear. It's a nice plant, totally hardy. Will take a lot of shade, but it's basically a sun plant. So it's a dwarf form here, erythropoda. It is less gray, but it's a lot shorter. Looks like you have a variegated form in the upper right. I've never seen that.
I am. Yeah, collectors. We pick up things.
No, that's all water droplets.
On the outside
okay.
edge, though.
Oh, the outside edge.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it is. I think it
Oh.
is a variety. I
I
remember,
don't know where we
I
got it.
remember picking it up, that's all. I
Okay.
have only one of it, so I can qualify as a collector for that.
Amsonia, another native plant, mostly in the Midwest, the Plains states, and all the way down through Texas. But they are perfectly hardy here. They're good all the way up to Montana and into Canada. Two things about them: they are a very, very nice center of focus plant in a garden because they form a bush. It's a herbaceous bush. It dies to the ground in the winter, but it makes a lovely bush. In June, it has sky blue flowers. There is a white form. There are some that are some darker than others, but then, and here's the thing, by late September and August, it turns this beautiful golden yellow color, which stays on till well past Thanksgiving. So it gives you color interest in the garden without it being a flower. The flowers, by the way, are rather minute, but the foliage is really very delicate and nice. The one shown there is called Hubrichtii. The middle letter is an I, by the way, not an E, but that's no big deal.
Okay.
Ciliata, it's just another name for it, but I think the correct name is Hubrichtii. All
Thank
right,
you.
next.
And I will say that I can see the seed pods left on one of ours right here. I've been taking the seed pods off just to try to keep it from spreading everywhere.
It will spread.
'Cause
Yeah, it will spread. The seedlings are easy to pull out, but it will spread.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, then
Okay.
Japanese anemone.
Anemone japonica,
Beautiful.
that's a beautiful flower. The tall one is I'm sorry,
Honorine Jobert.
Honorine Joberts, thank you. There are shorter forms that are white, but they come in red, pink, and lavender and so forth, and doubles. There's a nice double form which called Whirlwind, which is much shorter than Honorine Jobert. That's probably a picture of Whirlwind
I think so,
Yeah.
yes.
on the right with the B in the center there. And there are some new hybrids on the market which only get a foot tall. Frankly, I sort of defeats the purpose for me. I like the
All
fact
right, all right. Yes, we done the same thing.
low, but the
I
flower
like
stems are
both.
high. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll jump in and say that Aubrey is also noting they move so cool in a breeze, and it's the tall ones that really pick up that breezy move. So there's
Yep.
seconding in the chat as well.
We never even considered that they would make it short. I picked up some new varieties. They're there on the right, thinking, oh, good, more Japanese anemone. And then I went, oh my gosh, why would somebody do that to these poor plants?
Yeah, well, that's why they're called windflowers. One of the overlooked characteristics of a garden is motion. A garden is not static. It's an art form, but it's not like a picture on the wall or a sculpture. There's motion there. And in some instances, there's even some sound, especially, for instance, with ornamental grasses in the wintertime. If you're close by them and there's a breeze, you'll hear some sound there. It's a minor factor, but it's one of many factors that make a garden different than, as an art form, different than a picture on the wall or a sculpture. Go on, we can go further, I guess.
Got a little confused with this one, Pierre.
All right. The picture on the left is Astilbe chinensis or sinensis pumila. Sinensis meaning Chinese, pumila meaning dwarf. The picture on the right has some New Guinea impatiens. And I'll say,
There's
this
is
behind it, there are
Astilbe.
some Astilbes as well. Not sure, they
I
could
think
be.
that's purple. I bought it as purple curves.
Yeah.
Does that? Is
I
that
think
right?
so, because that is a bit darker. It's also a chinensis form, but it's a bit darker in pink than the chinensis.
Why did you single out the chinensis rather than all of these others like the?
It's the most drought tolerant, and it blooms later. Most of them bloom late, early June and up to, let's say, the first day of summer, and then the heat gets them. Sinensis pumila not only is drought tolerant, but it begins blooming when the rest are finished, and they bloom for a very long time. And it can take, as I say, a lot of drought. The others cannot.
It also spreads as a
can
ground
take-
cover kind of nicely.
Yeah, and it has low foliage, which makes a nice ground cover. The others really need shade in the midday. This one doesn't. Okay,
Have
there
you
are
found-
hybrids. There's some very nice hybrids of this, which I think may have mentioned, but pictured in here.
Yeah,
Um,
you love
Sprite,
Astilbes.
A
and-
Stilbe
yeah.
Sprite is a good example of a hybrid which
Oh.
has some of the characteristics of.
And we had a problem with Astilbe Sprite. I used to use Astilbe Sprite quite a bit, but ran into the problem of it being too dry. So I said, okay, we don't have any pictures right now of Astilbe Sprite. Let me take a look. Look at all of these pictures that claim to be Astilbe Sprite. Something's got to be off here, don't
Oh,
you?
really? Really?
I guess so. I
Yeah,
guess so.
there's something wrong there. I think the one on the upper left is probably as close to it as you get, or the second upper from the right. I don't know.
I'm going to interject. It looks like Ann Hackett had asked about what Astilbe is a ground cover mauve. Isn't that Astilbe chinensis?
That's
That's
tendencies too.
it. Yeah,
I
that's
would-
one you're speaking of.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would call it mauve because it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is its color. And then Superba is a taller.
it's taller, but it's the same species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit less drought tolerant, but also a very nice plant. And there are many hybrids of that. The whole Vision series is a hybrid of that, and the Aranzii types, which include the redder forms. Anyway,
Yeah, it used to be my favorite, that finale, that red one.
that's
Right,
a
right.
very fine plant, and it's a very old plant that was introduced back in the 1920s by Ahrens. What was his first name? Joseph Ahrens.
George Ahrens.
George Ahrens
Yeah.
in Germany. Yeah.